One failure does not define our whole life. When we remember the teaching of the Gita, where Krishna says, I am everyone's greatest well-wisher. Then Ishopanishad says that Lord is complete, this creation is also complete, there is no loophole.
Most 24-year-olds today are walking away from commitment. They can't commit to anything.
We are all born with two types of nature, the divine and demonic, the Gita explains. If you are not doing something to nourish your divine side, obviously the demonic side will get nourished. If we can follow this, we can always be at peace in life. One should be humbler than the blade of grass. That the lion is the king of the jungle. But even when he feels hungry, he has to get up and hunt for his food. It's not that he sits and opens his mouth and the deer will enter his mouth. Yes, desiring is one thing, but are you prioritizing it also and putting it into action?
Everyone talks about life in a monastery of non-attachment, but aren't you attached to all of this? So, Prabhuji, you grew up in an army household where discipline, duty and honor were the air that you breathed. When you became a monk, did you have to fight that conditioning, or did it quietly become the foundation of your spiritual practice?
I think it became a foundation because that discipline is very much required when you lead a life of a monk. And it helped in one sense because we also had a discipline of offering our prayers in the morning and evening. And then we had learned certain prayers. So spirituality was there. But of course nothing related to Krishna. We were worshipping Lord Shiva, Mother Parvati. That's what people mostly worship in North India.
Correct.
And so all that training, all those samskars I think became very helpful when I joined, or I would say in attracting me to this path. Because those samskars were already there. Those impressions were already there. So it wasn't easy when an opportunity came up. Okay, anybody wants to study the Gita, we would be very happy to have classes when I first met the devotees in college. And it was, I think, a natural transition. There's not much hard work I had to do. And then even after joining, it was helpful because it was so natural.
Correct.
Since these things were learned during my childhood only.
Yeah, I think the discipline aspect obviously must win because it's your basis.
Yes.
And I think discipline is required in both.
Yes.
In an army background, or if you were to become a monk or live the monastery life, I think discipline is the most important thing.
Yes.
So, tell me, the NDA rejection is the moment most people treat as your turning point. But according to you, I want to ask you, in the days right after the rejection, before the meaning making happened, what did the failure actually feel like to you?
I was devastated, and I was crying when I called up my father. On the phone, I didn't step out of my room for almost a week. But then one of our teachers in the school, she told my father, don't worry, jo hota hai achhe ke liye hota hai, whatever happens, happens for good. And that gave me some hope. And another funny thing that happened, somebody told me that Shah Rukh Khan and Amitabh Bachchan also got rejected from the same board. Now I don't know whether it was true or false. So that gave me some hope. I was like, yes, if they had gotten selected, they wouldn't be where they are today. So maybe there is something nice waiting for me also. Okay. So these two things gave hope. Although initially it was very, very painful because this was my whole life, this was my dream. Having lived in that kind of environment throughout my life, throughout my childhood, and having worked so hard and having so many hopes. But these two things gave me a lot of assurance, and then now when I look back, I'm grateful that those failures happened.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I'm also the kind of person who looks back and I often calculate if something had worked out, which I wanted so desperately back then, then I wouldn't be where I am today. Yeah. And I'm so happy where I am today because something didn't work out, something else came about. But sometimes we are so focused on achieving something and we feel like it's our whole world, and if we don't get it, it'll shatter. So now that you're so far from that world, explain to the common man how we should receive failure, because we take failure too personally. We feel like life khatam ho jayegi agar ye nahi milega. And I'm sure उस time आपको भी ऐसे लगा होगा कि my life is going to end, मुझे मिला ही नहीं what I really wanted. Like you said, you were shattered, your dreams and hopes didn't come alive.
So everybody has to remember that one failure does not define our whole life. And when we remember the teaching of the Gita, where Krishna says, I am everyone's greatest well-wisher. And then Ishopanishad says that the Lord is complete, this creation is also complete, there is no loophole. So when we remember these things, we realize that everything that happens in everyone's life is meant for his elevation, his advancement only, his growth only, provided we have the eyes to see and ears to hear what the Lord is trying to convey. So when something bad happens in someone's life, for example, it means his bad karma is getting exhausted. So which is a situation to rejoice. When somebody goes through a happy situation, it's the good karma which is getting destroyed. So it's a situation to become sober. So whatever happens in a person's life, if we remember that there is a greater plan, and if we maintain some patience, then things will be revealed. And all our scriptures teach us that failures are a part of life. It's not something unusual. Whenever there is a failure, a disappointment, a setback, our scriptures teach us this is normal, this happens with everyone. But what you do in that situation, what is your response, will decide whether you suffer from it or you remain blissful. So our scriptures teach us to respond positively, respond in the best possible way. And the best response the scriptures have taught us is to take shelter of the Lord. Because when we take His shelter, even our destiny changes. When we remember Him, when we take His shelter during failures, disappointments, setbacks, pain, then He turns the biggest curses into blessings and the biggest adversities turn into opportunities. That is Lord Krishna's expertise. All we have to do is just turn to Him, and that's how we can manage failures. And we should always remember that things may be out of my control. They are never beyond Krishna's control. He is the supreme controller. And as long as we seek His help, anything can change. So there is no scope for disappointment or lamentation in life, because there is always somebody who is there to help us. So that gives hope.
Completely agree. I mean, there is obviously a higher self. You know, there is a higher self that is looking after all of us. Some things happen so automatically, and we call it destiny, we call it whatever. It was meant to be. There are many names to it. But we have to realize it is above us. The power does not lie completely in us. Yes, I want to pick up this mug. It's in my power to do that. But this power can be taken away as well, and it won't be taken away by me. I might lose movement in my arm, you know, and that won't be in my control. That will happen, I don't know how. But there is obviously a higher power. You achieve this kind of, I would say, epiphany or realization at the age of 24, you know, very young. You were 24 when you walked into that temple, and that was the last time you were just a civilian like all of us. Most 24-year-olds today are walking away from commitment. They can't commit to anything. So what did you understand about yourself at 24 that made you change your life completely?
It's everybody, it's like everyone wants to do, likes to do whatever attracts their heart. And I simply followed in the footsteps of the great souls, because when Krishna attracts your heart, nobody can stop it. Nobody can stop you from following that path. And there have been many, many great kings, queens, even dacoits. As soon as they came in touch with Krishna, they gave up everything. So it is the attractive power of Krishna, nothing related to something that I decide. When He decides to attract you, nobody can stop you. We have the example of the gopis in Vrindavan. When Krishna played his flute, they just went running, nobody could stop them, even though so many people tried to. So when I came in touch, as I said, it was a natural transition, because I always had a desire to study the Gita. And when those classes started in our college, gradually I started liking that lifestyle, I started liking the whole philosophy, the path. and we used to definitely like the prasad that we would get at the end of the session. We would just wait for that. And one thing that really changed everything, where I was convinced I want to join. I saw a picture of the deities of our temple, Radha Gopinath ji. And as soon as I saw that picture, instantly the words came out. The very first time I saw the picture, their faces, said, these are the deities I want to worship. They instantly attracted my heart, and till this date, to this date, no other deity in the creation has attracted my heart. I mean, people go to Vrindavan, other places, and they appreciate. I appreciate all, but there's no deity in the world that has attracted my heart as much as Radha Gopinath. And I said, these are the deities I want to worship. And obviously, because they are in this temple, so to worship them, I have to be here.
Correct.
So it was never like I'm becoming a monk. It's like I'm staying close to them. And staying close to them means I have to follow this path, and it was so natural then. Priority was them, and it was just a part of the whole process.
It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to give up this. It was more like, this is what I want, so I'm going to walk towards that.
Yes, there was something, because I liked the lifestyle of the monks I was interacting with. But mainly it was the deities who attracted. I used to come even today also. They are my life and soul. So it's just that they attracted, and they saw that desire that I wanted to serve them, I wanted to be close to them, and they designed my whole life. I can say it is their mercy, totally their grace. It's not my qualification. I just desired, and they are very kind to fulfill that desire.
But you know, it requires a lot of courage, and it requires a lot of integrity and commitment to commit to something. Even if it's something you want. I could want to be an actor, for example, and I want to act in movies. That's my dream at 22. But it's not necessary I'll work towards it. That is the youth today. Wanting is one thing, but then the integrity, the commitment to work towards it, as you would know, it requires a lot. You were attracted to them, but then you put in your life towards that, right? So my question is, why is the youth today scared of commitment? Why don't they have the integrity? वो कहते हैं ना, ज़बान दी है, आपको follow करना पड़ेगा, अगर आपने बोला है, there's no integrity towards that. So what do you think the generation today is lacking for that?
Times have changed. 80s, 90s, early 2000s also, people had less distractions, so more focus. So now, because everybody is exposed to whatever is happening all over the world, so they are more distracted. And because they have moved away from that spiritual culture, foundation, traditions, so the value system has vanished. Character has vanished. We are aping the West. So the personality ethics has become more important than character ethics. So personality ethics, that means externals have become more important. Externally, how you're doing, what you're doing, how you look, how you dress up, how you speak.
How you're perceived.
Yeah, so people are disconnected from their roots. And when a tree is disconnected from the root, it will fall. So therefore, the root cause is because people have given up their spiritual culture. So that character has deteriorated. And therefore, externals have become the focus, and people are not able to give their attention, time, energy, and of late, the research has come out how the social media, it is brought down people's focus, efficiency, and mind is always uncontrolled. It is running from one thing to another. It is not able to focus on one thing. So social media, exposure to this information all over the world, this has really diminished people's resolve, that determination which is very much required to achieve anything in life, not just spiritually but materially also. And therefore a recent paper came out, a research paper, that present Gen Z generation is the first generation in the history of the world which has got lower IQ than their parents, and the root cause is the social media and chat GPT, AI. So, but all these are simply having an effect on the generation.
Yeah.
because of having gotten disconnected from the spiritual self. Everything, spirituality is our root. Just like the fish out of water, it is always restless. You put the fish back in water, fish is happy, whether it gets something or not. As long as it is disconnected, it will be always unhappy. And then in that fear, in that anxiety, a lot of things will come. There's no peace. So similarly, as soon as we disconnected from our natural environment, which is spiritual, all the evils take over.
Correct.
We are all born with two types of nature, the divine and demonic, the Gita explains. If you are not doing something to nourish your divine side, obviously the demonic side will get nourished, and it is a part of demonic side. Demons are always, if you find in the scriptures, they're always restless, always distracted. They're always looking for, we want this, we want to acquire this, and they don't want others to live in peace.
Yeah.
So that nature has gotten nourished because we have not been nourishing the divine side. So all we have to do is we just come back to our natural environment, everything will fall into place, the real focus, determination will come. But if that doesn't happen, then this is only going to get
Worse.
aggravated. Yeah, it is only going to get worse. So the disconnect from the spiritual self, that lack of spiritual depth, is a root cause of lack of commitment and determination, and people are getting more and more distracted.
So I think what you explained to me is something I follow as well. I always talk about to my child or to my family members, lack of things to focus on will make you do things that you don't want to do. You know, कहते हैं ना, खाली दिमाग शैतान का दिमाग.
Yes,
It's literally
yes,
like that.
yes.
You explained it in a more sophisticated, the divine and the demonic. But actually, if you're empty-minded, if you are looking at, you know, random videos, you're connecting with what is happening here, what is happening there, this trend, that trend, like you said, distracted by a million things, but there's no focus, there's nothing really happening in your life. You're just focusing on everything else's, everybody else's life and what is happening with everybody else's culture or country or whatever it is. Lack of focus on self will only create drama and distress.
Yes.
So I completely agree with that. I would like to speak to you about the restless mind, because I know that you teach thousands of people about the restless mind. Tell us, what does a restless mind look like? Give me an example of students that have come with restless minds to you and have found peace.
Restless mind is like a monkey. Krishna, Arjuna, when he's speaking to Krishna, he uses 4 words. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna, pramathi balavad dridam. One characteristic of the restless mind, it is chanchal. Not focusing on one thing beyond a few seconds. Jumping from one thing to another, just like a monkey jumping from one branch to another. Never at peace. It is pramathi. It is always turbulent. You may be sitting in the most peaceful environment, the mind could be creating havoc. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna, pramathi balavad dridham. It is extremely powerful and it extremely dangerous. And the restless mind is compared to a mad elephant. Now, there is no more a dangerous creature in this world than the mad elephant. And the mind is compared to that, the uncontrolled mind. And so many, of course, I come across many children, many youngsters, and not just children and youngsters, but everybody is struggling with the mind. 5,000 years ago only, when the scriptures were compiled by Vyasadeva, he had clearly mentioned that the major killer in this particular yuga, Kali Yuga, will be the mind. And we know that the major challenge right now is the mental health. Recently, a survey was conducted in the United States, and 85% people said they were suffering from some or the other mental health issue.
Correct.
And where are people finding that solace? You go back to the 60s era, hippie revolution. They were all distracted. I mean, what youngsters are doing today, nothing compared to what the hippies were doing in 66.
Correct.
Completely distracted on drugs and living a very carefree life, and some of them truly believe that You should just live the way you want. If you want to dress up, you wear clothes, otherwise you can go around naked. And they were actually doing that. There were communities like that.
Yeah, it was a rebel moment.
Yeah, so what happened at that time? That's the time when Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, he went to the United States, and the hippies had a slogan, do not trust anybody above 30, and he was 70. So what did he do? He would go to the park, he would sit with his little drum, he had no money, no help, and he would simply chant, Hare Krishna, like that, with no amplification. And gradually the power of this mantra attracted them. Then he would feed them some prasad. That pacified them, because prasad, food offered to God, has that potency. The Puranas explain the maximum contamination, turbulence of the mind happens due to the food we eat. We are what we eat. So he gave them sanctified food, and the most powerful way to control the man is mantra. He gave them the Maha Mantra. And these two things pacified them, made them peaceful, and many of those hippies later on became great Vaishnavas, traveled all over the world even till date, preaching the message of the Gita, Bhagavad, gave up their sinful lifestyle, led a very, very pure life. So I just tell these children, these youngsters, to do these two things only. And once they start doing, they become totally different people. They become so mature that I've seen their friends coming to them for some guidance. The same friends they have been spending their time with. So it brings in a lot of peace and maturity, and others can actually understand, why is this person looking so peaceful? So mantra and the food, the prasad, these two things are the most powerful weapons if we really, really want to take control of the restless mind. Control what you eat sattvic, eat pure, and chant the mantra. That is the best medicine for the man.
So you live at the Radha Gopinath temple in the middle of the world's most chaotic city, right? Every day Bombay is pressing against all the walls of that space. Does the city disturb you or does it serve you? Because I think a lot of people's concept of peace and spirituality is an Himalayan ashram.
The city actually helps because there is an opportunity to serve. If I was in some Himalayan ashram, it would be selfish, just concerned about my own happiness, my own spiritual elevation. But cities where people live, and cities where people need it the most. People in the village, they don't have any mental health issues or connecting spiritually. They are naturally endowed with faith, innocent faith. So city offers you that opportunity to render some service to society. Everybody serves society in different ways. Hospitals serve in a different way. The police department serves in a certain way. The schools serve in a certain way. Temples serve in a certain way. So our lifestyle, we as monks serve the society in a certain way. And that is by trying to raise people's consciousness to God consciousness. That will refine their choices. And refined choices means we don't suffer in future. Every choice that we make is sowing a seed for future happiness or distress. So when you try to serve the society, help them make better choices so that they can be happy, you see smiles on their faces. That is, I think, the biggest source of happiness for us than even in a city which is very chaotic, fast-paced. You will be at peace. You are very content. So yes, city really, really helps. We could be sitting in the Himalayas, a very, very peaceful life.
Yeah.
But as far as I am concerned, I think even if I have to go to such a place, I would be there for maybe 2-3 days. I want to just come back. Even when I travel, I'm in the flight, long flight, so I'm on my WhatsApp coordinating things, and so that I think gives me a lot of peace. And by Krishna's grace, there is a family that we have in Bombay now, knowing a lot of people and being connected. So yes, city has helped. I wouldn't have had so many connections if I was in the Himalayas. So there is greater opportunity to do some seva, and therefore city is most welcome.
I completely agree. I think what you said is very beautiful. If I lived on a Himalayan ashram, it would be more about self-elevation, own growth only. Yeah. But in my experience, and I don't have too much, but whatever little experience I have of my life, I think there is no bigger happiness than service.
Yeah.
And I think that is also the biggest learning. So I think that's beautifully how you put it. Service and living in a community where you can actually help people rise along with you is, I guess, the best way to learn. So you spent nearly 2 decades in very close proximity to Radhanath Swami, one of the most revered spiritual teachers. Tell me, what has it been like to be a disciple, genuinely, not ceremonial?
I think being around him has taught a lot of things, but one thing that he has requested, I would say, because he's not the kind of guru who would try to impose his will. He works 2 ways. He will humbly create that awareness, repeat the principles, and more importantly, he practices everything himself. So one principle that he has repeatedly taught us is, there is a verse in the scriptures, Trinadapi sunechena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtanaya sadahari. And if we can follow this, we can always be at peace in life. So which means one should be humbler than the blade of grass. A blade of grass is insignificant. Nobody even notices. Even if somebody steps on it, doesn't complain, again rises. And more tolerant than the tree. A tree is cut down and somebody, then there is exposure to all kinds of weather. The tree doesn't complain. Somebody cuts down the tree, but the tree still helps to cook somebody's food, to make a nice house. The tree is not complaining, always serving, always being tolerant. And amanina manadena, being always respectful to others without expecting any respect for oneself. And in this consciousness, constantly chanting the Lord's name, Kirtanaya Sadahari. So this principle he has repeated again and again, he has practiced, and so we have imbibed that from him. And as a disciple, of course, it's our duty also to take the words of the Guru as our life and soul. That is the only secret of success in spiritual life. So I'm not saying I'm able to live up to that principle fully, but at least it's in the back of our mind. So even if there are challenges, this principle, even if there are voices coming out, this principle protects us. It's like a protective armor. So it's been very, very blissful being around him and seeing his example and his imbibing his teachings, listening to him. So it's like damage has been considerably minimized, which I could have done to society. I would say 70-80% it has been minimized just because of his presence in our life.
So tell me, also I feel like a lot of times people confuse the Guru, the teacher and the Almighty. I think for the common man, those lines get very blurred. Can you tell us how you see them?
Almighty is God. That is very clear. Teacher could be any. But the word Guru is only reserved for a person who connects us to God. Nobody else has that right, even though this word is very loosely used.
Yes.
The word Guru comes in the scripture. The word Guru means heavy. Heavy with what? Heavy with knowledge also. And he's also very heavy because he dissolves our false ego. So a Guru will never be a flatterer. One of the greatest duties of the Guru is to point out the mistakes of the disciple, and the Guru is very heavy in that because he knows that as long as these vices stay, he cannot rise, especially the biggest vice of false ego. He is very heavy with that. So the word Guru especially comes for a person who connects us to God. Teacher could be any, a school teacher, it could be a yoga teacher or anybody. And then Almighty God is always, he's also the Jagat Guru. He is the Guru of all Gurus. That is the difference. So a Guru is not God.
Yeah, I think sometimes people tend to, start
That is
worshipping.
sentimentalism.
Yeah.
That is fanaticism or sentimentalism. Guru is never God. He is due the same respect as God though, because he is giving God to us. But a real Guru will never say, surrender to me, or he will never try to attract his followers towards himself.
Yeah.
A real Guru attracts his followers, his disciples towards God. He says surrender to God. He's never ever concerned. He's only concerned with the growth of the disciple. Whether the disciple reciprocates or not, he's always going to be like a loving father, loving mother, and externally like a thunderbolt, internally like a soft rose, out of compassion. So Guru is never equal to God, but he is given the same respect as God because he is the representative of God. So that should be very, very clear. And Krishna, Guru, God, he is a Jagat Guru. He is the Guru of all Gurus. He is God. That position cannot be taken away from him. And here, a personality that he has sent into our life is our worshipable Lord, Master, and he is the real servant of God. So Guru is a servant of God, not God.
I am of the same thought process. I feel like God is God, and then people who help you see the path or help you with clarity of mind can be Guru, means your teacher, your beloved teacher.
Yes, yes.
But I think in an Indian format, I don't know why the lines get blurred very easily. A lot of people start to see the Gurus as God. They start worshipping, literally start worshipping the Guru. They will start doing what you do to deities to Gurus, offering prasad as an idol. Give garlands in the morning, give prasad, dress up the Guru, give things. And I don't know why, I feel like maybe other cultures do it too, but our culture like really promotes that. Like, I don't know why a Guru will become popular for something, and then you will see a million people blindly following and treat that person as God. I don't know why the distinction gets blurred. That is still a human being. Yes, might be very pure, might be a saint, might be helping you with the path, but it's still not God.
Yeah.
And why is that person allowing you to worship him like God, if he really is that saintly?
So there are two things here. One is there is no harm in worshipping the Guru, because as I said, the Vedic scriptures explain he is the representative of God, he is giving us God, he is due the same respect as God. However, people who are worshipping, their consciousness has to be very clear that he is not God. Mistake happens when you, oh, my Guru is God. In that consciousness, I am offering him a garland, I am offering him prasad, I am washing his feet. My Guru is God. That is fanaticism.
Yeah.
But the right consciousness is, he is my worshipable master. He has given me that connection to God. So he deserves all the respect that I might otherwise give to God.
Correct.
Which is how the Lord also wants us to see the Guru. And the Guru also never considers himself to be God. Any Guru who thinks is that he deserves all the respect, a Guru is supposed to be extremely humble. Okay, then why would a humble Guru accept worship from his followers? So he never accepts. He just accepts it on behalf of the Lord, on behalf of his Guru. Ultimately it goes back to God only. Ultimately it goes back to the Supreme Lord only. So he is accepting, he is collecting that worship. He is collecting that worship, collecting that respect, so that he could send it back to Krishna. Like Srila Prabhupada, in ISKCON also, every day Guru Puja happens and we have a deity of him in every temple. When he was there, this trend started. So one disciple got very confused, because when the Guru Puja, the Guru Aarti was being sung, he saw Prabhupada was also singing. And he's like, why is he singing for his own self? And somebody told him, no, he's singing for his Guru. So a real Guru is somebody who is offered respect, but he never considers that it is for me.
Yeah.
It is for my Guru who will offer it to his Guru, it goes back to God. Ultimately this respect belongs to God, because I am representing his mission. Suppose somebody goes on behalf of a company and an organization, and somebody offers him some money which is supposed to collect on that organization's behalf, and he keeps it for himself. He's a cheater.
Correct.
His consciousness is, I am simply a humble servant, I am nothing, I am insignificant, I am collecting it, it is meant for God. What I am giving them is also coming from God, I am simply like a postman. So Guru is like a postman, delivering what God is supposed to send, deliver to the right candidates, and whatever they offer, he takes it back to God. That's it. He's just a transparent via media. So people who consider, oh, my Guru is God, are also fanatics. A Guru who thinks he's equal to God, or he is God, or everybody is God, is also a fanatic. So that line has to be very, very clear.
Yeah, I think that distinction is very important, and I
Yes.
think I don't know why in our society those lines get blurred very easily.
Yeah.
You know, that word you used was very interesting, false ego. And as much as any religion, any good teaching talks about the ego, like you said, even if a guru thinks of himself, it's ego, right? Can you tell us, explain to us, what is ego?
There is true ego, there is false ego. Ego to hoga hi. So true ego means I am a servant of God and I am insignificant. He is great, I am insignificant. I am his sevak. And false ego means I am God. I may not say it, but I want to be in control of everything. And I think I have believed, I have achieved everything on my own, everything belongs to me. Everything is mine. Everyone should follow me, everyone should like me. So people may not say it, but subconsciously it's there, it is shown through their actions. That I, me and mine in that person's life is very prominent. I have done it. I am so and so. That is false ego. And especially this is exhibited to a great extent in defying the existence of God. Oh, there is no God. I don't believe in all these things. This is all arrogance and ignorance both. But true ego means I'm an insignificant servant of God and it's my duty to serve Him. That's the difference. That's the main difference.
So you were 24 when you joined this path. At what point did you see yourself turning from the false ego to true?
I think it still hasn't changed. We all have that false ego. I do have. But as I said, when you have heard something again and again, especially the principle I spoke about, humility, tolerance, giving respect to others, so that protects. Even if there are too many emotions, but that principle, because you've heard it again and again and again over the years, so it prevents that damage from happening. And gradually, as we simultaneously also chant Krishna's names, we study scriptures, we associate with saintly people, and seeing their example, that will subside, that feeling of false ego will subside in due course. But all of us have it. Nobody can say that, at least for myself, I can say it's not that I am fully purified. But I can say safely that the teachings have helped, the environment has helped, so that that false ego doesn't become an obstacle in somebody else's life. I may be struggling with it, but I make sure that due to my false ego, others don't suffer. Others don't struggle. So that is what the spirituality, this path has done.
So now that you have taught so many people, you interact with thousands, you counsel thousands of people. Tell me the one most heartbreaking pattern that you see in most people today, that they're not able to get over.
Expectations. Too many unrealistic expectations. And what is an unrealistic expectation? To think that everything should happen the way I want, everything should go the way I want, everyone should like me, everyone should love me. But the world doesn't run like that. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains we live in a world of duality. Sometimes there is happiness, sometimes there will be distress also, praise will be there, criticism will be there, profit, loss, these are all parts of life, and one should just tolerate and continue doing his duty. Because people have become so self-centered, and therefore there is so much anxiety in their life. They are trying to control everything, they have too many expectations. So it's very difficult to tell them that lower down your expectation. But the next question is, isn't it good, isn't it human to have expectations? I said yes. I say yes, but not the unrealistic ones. You are not the controller, you are not the supreme controller. So a lot of people go through this, go through emotions, and they don't see. That's where scriptural wisdom, if regularly heard, is very helpful, where we remember again and again that things will change. We are living in a world which is constantly changing. This is the first principle Krishna teaches in the Gita. So one just have to tolerate and just continue doing their duty. So people's expectations from life, from people, from this world, that is, I think, very difficult to let go of for them. And it's difficult sometimes to convince people when dealing with them.
I think maximum, in my experience of dealing with people, in my experience of talking to people, is maximum disappointment or maximum sadness comes from when expectations are not met in relationships.
Yeah.
Because if I expected my parcel will arrive today at 5 and it didn't come, 5 minutes I'll be upset. I see my son, he orders something online, it doesn't come. Mama, it was supposed to come today, I'm waiting for my Pokemon card, it didn't come. Disappointed for 10 minutes, we'll get over it, it'll come tomorrow. Those disappointments, I'm saying materialistically, they last very short. I think where humans, this is my understanding, I think where we get stuck is where we are emotionally connected. So I love my husband in a particular way, he doesn't love me back how I want. Like you said very correctly, we see it as he doesn't love me back, full stop. But actually we forget to add the way I want. Because his form of love can be in so many other ways compared to what my expectations.
True.
Vice versa. He may say, मैं सब कुछ करता हूँ, my wife doesn't care. But doesn't care, bracket, how I want. I think we miss that part and I think it's very important.
True.
And that how I want changes the equation completely. Because the other person can't dream how you want. Even with a parental relationship, I do so much for my mother, she doesn't care. Doesn't care about what? How you want her to care for you, as a mother. Your definition of mother care might be different to her definition of love for a child. So I think the expectation in relationships is where we all struggle the most. Because that's where we feel like, nahi, mere hisab se hona chahiye. Like, I see it like this, I feel it like this, this is my feelings, respect my feelings. That whole self-elevation of what about how I feel. So, give me a little bit of Vedic knowledge, of spiritual knowledge on this aspect.
So, a relationship is a two-way street. That means, and a relationship is based on mutual service to each other. Usually, two people, they get into a relationship thinking, in today's world, what am I getting out of it? Based on how much I am getting, I am very convinced and I am very committed to that relationship. But relationship is something different. Instead of thinking what can I get out of it, it's about what can I contribute to it. And again, it's a two-way street. Both have to think equally. So if the relationships have to sustain, there's only one principle. How am I concerned about other person's happiness? You think about my happiness, I think about your happiness. It's not about my happiness. As soon as it becomes I, me and mine, things will fall apart.
Correct.
So relationship means the traffic is moving from both the sides, both the directions, and both are equally committed and both are thinking about making the other person happy, not thinking about their happiness, because in giving that happiness to the other person, we will also experience equal or more happiness.
Correct.
Because we have been created in such a way, the souls are created in such a way that we can only be happy when we are serving, not by expecting service or receiving service. Now tell me, when do you find greater satisfaction? When you are offering a glass of water to someone, or when somebody offers you a glass of water?
When you're offering.
Obviously. So this is how we have been created. Relationships go for a toss when both parties become selfish. My happiness, my comfort, my life, he doesn't care, she doesn't care. No. You think about each other's happiness, not your own. And if you have any expectations, communicate, express. Because as you said, it's not about he or she doesn't understand each other. It's about two individual souls we are dealing with. Everybody's love language is different.
Correct.
How you express love towards your life partner is your perspective, and how the other person expresses is his perspective. It's not that he or she doesn't care, it's just that both are two different souls and both have a nature, a personality.
And not only that, I don't think one is that they may express differently, one is they may receive also differently.
Exactly.
How one person's giving, the receiving language is also different.
Yeah. So that's where the next important point comes. So I cannot say, oh, I'm like this, you don't understand. You cannot say, I'm like this. Relationship agar hona chahiye. Relationship means I keep this aside and I'm more concerned about what will make you happy, what is your need, and you think about my need. That is what a relationship is all about. It's like, मैं तो ऐसा ही हूँ, I'm like this, and you say, you're like that, I'm like that. No, we keep that aside. Okay, now I'm into a relationship, so I have to start thinking, what does the other person need, what makes him or her happy, and I prioritize that instead of what makes me happy. So that's how relationships sustain. And of course the biggest sacrifice, every relationship involves a sacrifice, and the biggest sacrifice is the sacrifice of false ego. That
False
means
ego.
Yeah, false ego. That means if there is an argument, if there is a difference of opinion, there could be a difference of opinion, but there should not be any disrespect. We think because I differ from somebody, I can shout, I can disrespect, I can do things my way. Now, there could be a difference of opinion, but there should not be disrespect. And sacrifice of false ego means if there is an argument sometimes, I am willing to take a humble position even if I am not wrong. Why is that? Because I value the relationship more than being right. For me, relationship is the priority. Therefore, I will take a humble position. Doesn't matter. What do you lose? The only thing that you lose by saying sorry is unnecessary argument, anxiety, frustration in relationship. And you save a relationship.
Yeah.
So when two people are arguing, it's just that one person becomes quiet and says sorry. Finished. The argument ends there. And thirdly, we have to have a strong spiritual foundation. A family that prays together stays together. If we have a strong spiritual foundation where a family comes together regularly and perform activities with God as the center, even if it's once a week as a family, chanting together, praying together, studying from the scriptures together, worshipping the deity of the Lord together, traveling to holy places together, going for a satsang together, inviting saintly people's home and receiving that wisdom from the saintly people. So that will help us follow these other principles also. We will be able to control our false ego, and we will be able to lead a selfless life where we are thinking about each other's happiness.
Correct.
Not about our own. There is an example given. Once a person was taken to heaven and hell. So first he was taken to hell, and there he saw so many people were sitting and they were emaciated, they were looking skinny, although there was chappan bhog, I mean countless food items lying in front of them. So their hands and knives, I mean the knives and forks were tied to their hands and they were quite long. So they're trying to eat, but because the knives and forks are very long, they're not able to pick up from the plate and put it in their mouth. This is hell, and everybody is looking so depressed. Then he is taken to the heavens. Same position, same condition, same situation. The hands have long knives and forks and food is in front of them, and they are very happy because they figured out a way. Instead of trying to put the food in their mouth, they are feeding each other. So that's how they are experiencing happiness and nourishment. So this is the same principle in life also. The moment we start thinking about I, me and mine, everything has to collapse, whether it's a nation, a community, a family. And the scientific research has also shown that who are the people who go into depression the most? Who are only thinking about themselves. We can't even keep ourselves happy if we keep thinking about our own happiness.
It's true.
What to speak of giving happiness to others. And the law of karma is simple. You give respect, you get respect. You give love, you get love. You give happiness, you get happiness. By trying to give others happiness, by trying to love somebody else, others, I would say, we receive love and respect. It's not the other way around. I'm looking for my own. No. You give respect, you will get respect. You give love, you will get love.
I think a lot of times, it's easier said than done. I mean, I try and practice it as much as possible, but when I tell a lot of people it's as simple as what you do comes back, like they feel like, oh, it's easy to say. Like a lot of people don't have faith in it. I don't know if I'm making sense, but बोलेंगे लेकिन वो actually उसको believe नहीं करेंगे. They'll say it that, oh, only if what you give is what you come back. Like I always say, you know, the energy you bring to the room is the energy you'll take with you. If you are full of negativity, how is it possible to take positivity? आपके अंदर कैपेसिटी नहीं होगी ना, भरे हुए उधर तक नेगेटिविटी, तो आप कैसे ले सकते हो? बट आई थिंक it's easy for people to sometimes just say it and discuss it, but they don't actually like practice it. I don't know if that makes sense.
So, but nobody can push things down somebody's throat.
No, like I feel like a lot of people are looking for solutions, but then they don't want to do the hard work.
Because it's not their priority now. So when you want to do something, it does not materialize into action. That means the middle part, the priority is lacking. They don't want to give time, and nothing great has ever been achieved without some hard work.
Correct.
Even if somebody wants to lose 2 kgs, they will have to work hard. It's not that simply by sitting. There is a famous line in the scriptures, Nahi suptasya singhasya pravishanti mukhe mrigaha, that the lion is the king of the jungle. But even when he feels hungry, he has to get up and hunt for his food. It's not that he sits and opens his mouth and the deer will enter his mouth. So, yes, desiring is one thing, but are you prioritizing it also and putting it into action? Because unless we apply what we hear, we don't get realizations. Unless we get realizations, our faith won't increase. So all we can do is create awareness, keep sharing the wisdom. Now whether people practice it or not, it is their own free will, and depending on how we use our free will, our future is decided.
Yeah.
So what is our priority? What do we want in life? We have to work towards that.
I completely agree. When sometimes people say something is not working out, I just feel like that's not
You're
their
not trying
priority.
enough.
They just like talking about the fact that it's not happened for them, but they don't actually want it. And if they want it, they would have gone and got it.
Yes.
You know, it's really as simple as that. You work
True.
towards something, it will happen. And if it's not happened, means you're not actually working towards it, you're just talking about it.
True.
Which I
True.
think is the most common thing you see. People will talk about, like you said, those 2 kgs. Or somebody will talk about weight loss, somebody will talk about I want to join classes, somebody will talk about I want to study, somebody will talk about I want to start a new business. There's a lot of talk, there's a lot of chatter. But it's not like it's being put into action, it's being prioritized. That's why it's not happening.
Yeah, so they are sitting on Instagram reels. That's the priority.
Yeah.
Lot of time.
I can
Earlier
agree.
people used to have free time. They would study books, they would talk to people, they would play, they would exercise. Now as soon as people get some free time,
Sit on the phone.
they sit on their phone. You look at the airports, you see the trains, you see people in the parks, they are on their phone constantly. So that has taken away their efficiency, productivity, focus. They are not able to think only.
True.
So that there is something that I need to do to grow in life internally.
So since we're talking about social media and we're talking about the phone, there's an explosion of monk content online, right now. Like there's so much of it. Meditation apps, stoic influencers, everyone quoting the Gita, everyone quoting religious text. Do you ever feel like the packaging of ancient wisdom for modern consumption does something to the wisdom itself?
It gets diluted because scriptures, not everybody has the right to speak on them unless you have learned from a bona fide guru. It's not that you pick up the Gita, pick up any scripture and you start teaching. If it was so simple, then there are books in the market, there is ChatGPT, there is Google. Still, when we want to teach our children, when we want them to learn, why do we send them to schools then? If somebody wants to learn football, immediately they look for a coach. Somebody wants to lose few kgs, have some weight loss, improve their health. Even though information is there on internet, but they still look for a dietitian. So the method of acquiring knowledge, first of all, is to learn from the right teacher, a bona fide guru who is a true representative of God. And only when he authorizes can we actually speak on that subject matter. It's not something that everybody should speak on unless you have learnt it sincerely, submissively, humbly, by rendering service to the guru. That is the method Krishna explains in the Gita. Tadviddi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. One must approach a bona fide guru, inquire from him submissively, and simultaneously also render service unto him. Because when we render service to the genuine Guru, the knowledge that we've received from him gets digested. Then it gives us that strength, and then we can share it with others also. So without following that path, I think things do get diluted, because when I pick up a book, for example, if I have not learned from a Guru, I will only understand as much as my intelligence, which is received by me based on my past karma, and I will give a conclusion based on that little understanding only. But only a person who has thoroughly learned, who has seen the truth, can actually give the right understanding. Scriptures are not understood simply by knowing the language.
True.
There is a verse in the scriptures, it says, Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha gurau tasyaite katitahi artah prakashante mahatmanah. Which means the imports of the Vedas, the imports of the Vedic scriptures are revealed only to those people who have implicit faith in Guru and God, in Guru and Krishna. So unless we have that faith in the Guru, have learned from the Guru and faith in God, the imports will not be revealed. You may just be on the surface level, oh, this means this, but the real meanings will never be understood. So yes, things do get diluted, because now everybody is speaking, and everybody is trying to act as an authority, so it creates chaos. So scriptures are the law books for humanity. When you start playing with the playbooks, you start interpreting, misinterpreting the law books, then there will be chaos in society. So that, I think, needs to be avoided.
Yeah, I completely agree. Also, like you said, it's not just about reading it and hearing it, you have to digest it. And I think that's a very beautiful thing, what you said. Because even food, you may consume it, might not get digested, you might get sick
So
from
it's
it.
of no use.
It's of no use, it's just laying there. Nutritionally, you've not achieved anything from it. You have not satisfied your body with it, so it's just there.
It may just have the opposite effect.
Yeah, correct. So you're absolutely right. I think anything that is consumed actually has to be digested. So even if it's knowledge, it has to be digested and implied in life. Otherwise, it's pointless just reading it.
True.
You could read and listen to a lot of good books, a lot of good meditation apps to have on your phone, a lot of chanting that you can just hear. But if you're not really following any of it in your life, you're still the same person with just like a prettier outfit. It's just that.
The first step in spirituality is the acceptance of the guidance of a bona fide Guru. Not just the guidance, but accepting somebody as your Guru, as a guide, who will hold our hand and guide us on this path. So there's no dearth of people in India who are doing puja part in their homes. But the thing is, even after 20 years, the vices are still there. The faith is still not nourished. There's still same doubts and same lifestyle, sinful lifestyle also, because they've not followed the right path. The first principle is acceptance of a bona fide Guru. Otherwise, who will teach us? Who will bring that discipline? Who will dissolve that false ego? Who will guide us? So the first step is acceptance of a bona fide Guru, and it's not that formally you have to take Diksha. Siksha Guru also has Siksha and Diksha Guru. There are two types of Gurus. Siksha Guru is somebody who gives us that knowledge and guides us. He has the most prominent role to play in somebody's life. And the Diksha Guru is just formalization of the relationship. You may or may not get Diksha, but Siksha is very important. So without that, how can we advance on this path?
Yeah, I can completely agree there. I think it's very important to have a bona fide teacher, somebody who really helps you understand what you're trying to learn instead of just learning from the oblivion.
Yeah.
So I feel today's generation is also one of the generations that is most aware. If you go back 30 years, the awareness towards spirituality wasn't as much as it is today. Even at 14-year-old today knows what spirituality means, the word spirituality. I don't think a generation before me at 14 knew what spirituality is. They knew sitting at home with their dadi, chanting puja in the morning, and like you said, religious things that every household does. They were aware of that. But the word spirituality, what it means, self-help, all of this has come about, in the last 10 years. So primarily. Despite all of this, I feel today's generation is that one generation that feels empty the most. Can you explain why and what they can do about it?
again, as I mentioned earlier also, everything boils down to not being connected to our natural self, which is spiritual self. There is a person called Keith Ward, I think he's no more now. He wrote a book, Is Religion Dangerous? And his findings, he's not an Indian, he's not even a devotee, that children who have a strong spiritual foundation, they are mentally stronger than their non-believing counterpart, less prone to depression, hypertension, much happier, live longer. So strong mental health, somebody else writes, is directly proportional to strong spiritual foundation. So as soon as the generation started disconnecting from their culture, from their roots, I think all these problems just popped up. And now technologically, materially, we are very advanced in 2026. But you ask people from 80s, 90s, were people happier then, or they are more happy today? And they can tell you that people were much more happy, content, satisfied in those years, relatively. The more the disconnection from the roots, which is spiritual, the more restlessness in people's lives you will experience. So this is the main reason. Initially, I mean, when the child is from 1st to 5th year, Chanakya Pandit says he should be given as much love as possible. 6 to 16, strict discipline. Discipline doesn't mean punishment, it means creating the awareness about what is right, what is wrong, and implementing the right. Thoda sa strictly. And then after 16, you treat them as your best friends. But what we do is we let them do whatever they like till 16, and after that we try to control them. That's just the opposite of what we should be doing. And whatever impressions, whatever mental state children cultivate at this stage, it stays with them forever.
Yeah, it's the foundation. You can't change it.
Yeah, so the emptiness is because the Gita explains we are not these material bodies, we are not this mind, we are the spirit souls, we are spiritual beings. So we have been feeding the body by providing the best of food, the best of gadgets, the best of houses, the best of cars, but the real person is still starving. That is the reason people are feeling lonely despite having the best food and best homes and best of everything. Suppose you feel hungry and you call me up, Prabhuji, can you eat 2 chapatis because I'm feeling hungry? I may eat, but that doesn't satisfy your hunger.
Correct.
So there is food for the body, there is food for the soul. The body is being fed, but I am the real person. What about my food? So when I start eating, when you start feeding the soul, then whether you get something externally or not, you will not bother. You will not be affected. So we just have to turn around. India is such a blessed country. There are so many saints still living, so many scriptures we have, so much facility to reconnect to our roots. There are holy places. We just have to turn around, and all the happiness that we are looking for is right there. But because we are not giving it that priority, also due to the current educational system and the degradation of society, lack of value system in the families today, so children are not getting that exposure. And even if they are, spirituality has also become like a show. Things have been diluted. Spirituality means 3 things. Going to some health resort, breathing in and breathing out and having some sattvic diet for a few days is not spirituality. Spirituality means spirit. It is made up of the word spirit. Spirit means the soul. Soul is a part and parcel of the super soul, God. And what is the connection between both? So unless these 3 aspects are addressed, it is not spirituality. We are spiritual beings, therefore spiritual life is our natural life. The more we live it, the more we shall be happy. But genuine form of spirituality, not aajkal, like today, luxury spirituality, luxury yoga, wellness. That is just, I think, branding.
Yeah, of course it is. It's marketing of
exactly.
A hotel experience just in the space of wellness.
So therefore, even after doing these things, the soul will not be happy. The soul is only happy when it reconnects with its source, the super soul, God. So once people revive that, it's a guarantee that they'll be happy anywhere, in any part of the world. Whether they get something or not, it is not very important. It's like the fish, when it is back in water, you give it something or you don't give anything, the fish is not concerned. Extremely happy, peaceful, swimming. So we have to learn to swim in our natural environment always. And that means in Kali Yuga especially, the spirituality has become very simple. Only you have to chant the names of God. In Satya Yuga it was meditation for many years. Treta Yuga was yajnas, rituals. Dwapar Yuga was temple worship, deity worship with punctuality, cleanliness. In Kali Yuga, Kalautad Hari Kirtanat. Only the chanting of the names of Lord Hari, Lord Krishna. That's all we have to do. And we just have to do it. We can do it while walking, sitting, before taking bath, after taking bath. And I've seen that children were going through many things and suddenly they started chanting, they started following this path, they become totally different children, very, very mature, and you can see the glow on their faces. So this process works. So all that emptiness will disappear once you start feeding the real person, the soul, who is a part and parcel of God.
That's the right
Yeah,
phrasing?
yeah.
Okay, I'll say it again. So you chose a life of non-attachment 24. You left the regular worldly life to be a monk. Now tell me, you have there a community, a teacher, love for Krishna, attachment, tradition, temple. So I want to ask you, everyone talks about life in a monastery of non-attachment, but aren't you attached to all of this?
So that principle of being totally detached from everything is not the real detachment. So you can't become desireless, and we live in a world, or our whole existence is such that we cannot live without some sort of attachment. So our Vedic scriptures teach us that problem is not attachment. Problem is wrong types of attachments. There are attachments which entangle the soul. So any action performed which is against the will of God, it binds the soul to the law of karma. So every action then will have a reaction. And that cycle could be forever then, life after life after life. So all different types of bodies, we get the family, we get the level of intelligence, facilities, no facilities. Everything is the result of the actions we took in the past based on certain attachments we cultivated. So that's wrong kind of attachment because it entangles the soul. And there are attachments which liberate the soul. So when you are talking about attachment to God, attachment to this path, this holy path, that is liberating. So we can't live without attachments, but we have to attach to the right things. It's like you can't live without food because the food is causing some trouble. So you don't stop eating. You have to start eating the right kind of food. So the goal of detachment, when we hear about the word detachment mentioned in the scriptures, the goal of that detachment is also attachment.
But to the right thing.
To the Lord, because soul is a part and parcel of God. So when you go to a doctor says, don't eat this, don't eat this, don't eat this. So the goal is not to stop you from eating. The thing is that you have been eating unhealthy, so you are sick. Now to bring you back to that good health, you have to stop eating this. At the same time, he'll give you, eat some khichdi or have some soup. And when you come back to normal health, you can keep eating as much as you like. You can eat whatever you like. So when the scriptures say detachment, 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 it is because we are wrongly attached. And therefore it is said, detach yourself from this matter or material. But if you are already attached to Krishna, to God, you are already leading that life of attachment to Him, then you don't need to detach from anything. Because the goal of detachment is already reached. 99% of examples given in the scriptures who were great devotees were also great kings, living a life in great opulence. They had big families, always expanding their kingdoms, great wealth, great beauty, wearing the best of garments, best of jewelry, best of everything. Because they were already leading the life of devotion. They did not need to disconnect themselves from anything, because the goal of that is already achieved.
Yeah, I think the lines get blurry because I think a lot of people think the path to spirituality or the path to God is give up everything else. But like you said, it doesn't have to be this or that. It has to be this. Everything else is just with it.
It's like wherever you are, all the scriptures that have been written, all the rituals that are mentioned, they're only meant to bring us to a point where we can start leading a God conscious life. And therefore, there are certain things which are keeping you away from that, we give up those. But if you're already leading a God conscious life, then why should you give up anything?
Correct.
There are two types of renunciation or vairagya mentioned in the Shastras. One is called Falgu Vairagya, one is called Yukta Vairagya. Falgu Vairagya is superficial renunciation, giving up things of this world, everything, considering it to be Maya, illusion. But the Vedanta Sutra explains everything comes from God, so how can anything be illusion? If something, a lion gives birth to a lion only, God is a reality, so everything that comes from Him has to be reality. But what makes it an illusion is the desire to keep things for ourselves only, for our own enjoyment. We are concerned about I, me and mine only. Then everything becomes an illusion, the source of entanglement. And then there is called Yukta Vairagya. Yukta Vairagya means the real renunciation, where we don't give up anything, but we utilize whatever we have been given, our intelligence, our wealth, our resources, our life, our family, in the service of God. That is a higher form of renunciation than giving up things of this world. Utilizing, because the goal of detachment is attachment. More than giving up things of this world is greater than giving up things of this world is utilizing them to connect with Him, to lead a God conscious life. That is a higher form of vairagya, and that is the path of the Gita. That is what Krishna recommends, and that is most practical also.
So tell me, you have written 12 books, counseled thousands, spoken in 50 different countries. But if you had to name the one teaching that you have lived, not just learned, the one that has cost you something and proved itself true anyway, what would it be?
The only thing that has kept me going throughout, and I have complete faith in, is the Nam Jap, my spiritual practice. And of course, the scriptures also prescribe this as the best method to remain focused. It gives you strength. It protects you from all kinds of negativity, dangers. So I think of all the scriptures, whatever I've studied, whatever I've heard, this is one thing that has stayed with me. And this is what I keep preaching about also, all the time. Whenever I have some issue with the mind, or whenever there is some guidance needed, everything is mentioned. The holy name, the name of Krishna, the name of Radha Krishna always gives you that elevation of consciousness. It uplifts your consciousness instantly. And in fact, all the scriptures, like in Vrindavan, they sing one bhajan, Yugal Naam Shruti Sar Hai. So Yugal Naam means the name of Radha Krishna. Shruti means the Vedas, the Shastras, all the scriptures. Sar means the essence. So the essence of all the teachings, of all the scriptures, of all the saints is only one. That the name of Radha Krishna, the chanting of the names of Radha Krishna is everything. So I think whatever I have realized is in line with the ultimate principle of the scriptures and teachings of all the saints. So this is one thing that has always stayed, and I hope and pray this always stays, because this is the ultimate perfection of life, as the scriptures say, to have some faith in the name of God, because the name of Krishna is so powerful. You sit in one place and chant it. You can accomplish anything in any part of the creation sitting in one place. It is so powerful. It is invested with the Lord's potency. Krishna says in the Puranas, he tells Naraji that in Kali Yuga, I have withdrawn all my powers from all the holy places, from all the rituals, from all kinds of tapasya, all kinds of charity, and I have invested all of it in my name. So all the power of God is in the name, and that's one thing I think I would like to hold on to always.
After everything, the army family, the failed exam, the monk's robes, the books, the thousands of lives you've touched, what is the most human thing about you?
As I said, I do get upset, I do get angry, but that's still a part of the process. I mean, getting cured, because we are in the hospital. Temple is a hospital for curing your heart, the disease of the heart, the vices. But one thing I really would like to work upon is to give more of time to people, because I feel I'm not able to give as much time as I would like to personally to each and every individual. Initially I used to, but now I'm not able to. Somehow maybe if Krishna gives me that ability, sometimes I genuinely pray and spontaneously this thought comes out and I pray to Krishna, Krishna, can you make the week a little longer, maybe 10 days, and sometimes I pray to him sincerely, can you make the day a bit longer, maybe 30 hours or 48 hours, something like that, and spontaneously comes. So that is something humanly impossible, but by Krishna's grace, anything is possible. So that's
Correct.
something I would like to have, that ability, have that siddhi where I can be available to each and every individual, whoever needs my time.
Let's end this with a rapid fire round. Prabhuji, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. What do humans misunderstand about suffering?
That we don't deserve it. They think, why do bad things happen to good people? Not realizing that it is the result of our own karmas coming back to us. So they're not ready to accept. Acceptance part is lacking.
What is the ego actually afraid of?
Surrender.
Why are human beings terrified of silence?
Not everyone is. Like, I like silence. People whose minds are uncontrolled, they are afraid of silence because they're always distracted. So silence scares them.
One thing people mistake for happiness.
Sense enjoyment, material sense enjoyment is real happiness. But the Gita says it is the kind of enjoyment that entangles the soul. It sows the seed for future distress.
One emotion that secretly controls most humans.
The need to feel loved and cared for.
I agree. What is the one illusion every human being is trapped in?
That I am this body and everything in relation to this body is mine and I will stay forever.
One thing humanity desperately needs right now.
I think God consciousness.
I agree.
They have to be God conscious. Because people who have divine consciousness will be able to take the right decision. Then there will be love all around. There will be no more violence, no more turbulence. Because the consciousness right now is unclean. So everything that is manifesting in this world is the reflection of people's consciousness. And consciousness gets cleansed by cultivating God consciousness. So it is the greatest need of the hour.
Thank you so much for this beautiful conversation. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you. Thank you for having me. Hare Krishna.